I currently am the principal and owner of Banko Media, which is a graphic design and photography studio in downtown Hamilton. In addition to that, we also in the same location have an art gallery called the Nathaniel Houston Gallery on John Street North. And between those two businesses, I get to spend a lot of time working in the creative services industry. At the gallery, my job is, maintaining the artist table. Most of the artists that we represent are people that I know or people whose work I've collected, so I have a relationship with them. And then on the Banko Media side, I'm the principal photographer, primarily taking interior photos of different locations and editorial lifestyle type portraits. Then we've got staff of people who do a variety of things from graphic design, video production, all kinds of post-production and digital manipulation. The beauty of what I do is that no 2 days are ever the same. I mean, there are certainly occasions where we'll have sequential days that are similar, but we do a variety of different things, and it's kind of the beauty of providing creative services. So, for example, this week we have done a series of portraits for the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra on one day. The next day we've been working on an ad campaign for a local car dealership. And then the day before that I was working on putting together something called Life Books for ArcelorMittal Dofasco. So there's a huge variety to what we do. There's half of what we do tends to be in and around town, but then the other kind of fun part of what we do is that the other half is not in Hamilton and we get to travel around. Life at the Gallery is different than Banko Media because I actually, as much as I work on maintaining those artist relationships and things like that, it's not a full-time job for me. We have full-time staff that manage the gallery for us day to day. They take care of all the marketing, they take care of any kind of daily correspondence, visitors that come into the gallery, and really we're only open for 20 hours a week for 3 days because we have a different model than other galleries around, and that we try and encourage people to come in on a kind of private viewing invitation basis so that they don't feel pressured to have to buy anything. They can spend as much time looking at a particular artist or looking at whatever's hanging on the walls at the time and enjoying it, and asking any questions they want either of the artist or of ourselves in relation to what they're looking at. I think critical thinking was one of the key things. I mean, I think in high school you certainly develop critical thinking. You don't question things as much as you'd like just because you want the day to go on. It's high school. But when you're sitting around with your friends, you're certainly kind of digesting what happened at school or on the weekend. You ask questions. When you get to university, you certainly have far more opportunity to do that. It's definitely within the humanities. Aside from taking my studio art classes, I was taking art history classes, I was focusing on classics. What I learned was an appreciation for events that happened in the past. You can see patterns that recur throughout history with politics, with conflict, with culture, and being able to then take all of what I've learned and translate that into what's happening around us today and be able to then think critically and problem solve around that was hugely beneficial. I mean, coming here for 4 years to take an art degree was simply an amazing experience. Like, you get to explore, you get to try new ways of communicating, new media, and while then I couldn't necessarily see that there were stories for me to tell, I definitely see that now. And the tools that I picked up here have carried me through the rest of my career. And really when you come to university, for a lot of students, it's the first time you're on your own. And I know that you don't come here to learn time management, but it is a huge component to what happens here. You've got to manage yourself, otherwise you don't stay here. You end up failing out in the first year and it's time to move on and do something else. So managing your time, and I'm probably the most disorganized person I know, was definitely another benefit of coming here. When I was here, I was actually really fortunate. I ended up with one of the rare fourth-year TA positions in art history, so I got to be a TA. I also was on the I don't remember what it was called at the time or whether it's still around, but I was on the transition board for the School of Art, Drama and Music and was the student representative when we were choosing our first director. It's my first experience with that sort of thing, but it definitely gave me a better appreciation for later on when I started getting involved with boards and committees in the community afterwards. You know, the best way to prepare for a career in any sort of creative services, whether it's advertising, graphic design, photography, or running an art gallery, is start with some relationship building. While you're here, develop relationships not only with the students around you, but with your profs. I find that very few, in art, they were so approachable. It was such a great group of profs that we had. Very few of the students really took the time to build relationships properly with the profs. And that's where a lot of opportunity will come from in the early part of your career, is you are actually talented and creative and you've got a good relationship with these people, they will definitely point you in the right direction. The one piece of advice I would give to anybody who's taking anything in humanities, whether it's English or philosophy or visual art, is there is a tremendous amount of opportunity out there if you apply yourself. Like, I certainly had no illusion of the fact that I was going to have some smashing career as a sculptor right out the gate, let alone as a photographer. But you come here to learn about something that you really love, not necessarily something that is going to guarantee you a career. So because you have the time to focus on a passion, you can learn to be passionate about the things that your subject matter has an influence on. And that's a really great thing, to be able to love what you do. So find out what it is within the humanities. Find out why you're here. Like, if you're here because your parents want you to be here, that's one thing. But if you're here because you genuinely love critical thinking and philosophy, then chase that, because the opportunities afterwards are what you make them.